Hello and welcome to today's lesson. So today we're talking about storage media, and in the previous lessons we've addressed what storage media is and the different types. So to just run through just a recap. So storage media refers to the amount of space that is available for a user to save documents or files on a computer system. Okay, so the space where you are able to save documents for future reference is what we're calling as storage media. So storage media is classified into two parts, which is main storage or primary storage, as well as secondary storage or backing storage. So these are things that we've gone in details looking at. So today we'll be focusing on the different types of backing storage or the different types of secondary storage. Okay, so there are three main categories of backing storage, which is magnetic storage media and optic storage media, as well as solid state. So magnetic storage media takes advantage of magnetic sort of like representation of data in order to save its information. So the magnetic poles, we do not say magnet as south and north or north and south, whichever one. So it sort of like depends on the arrangement of those patterns to represent binary digits, as can be seen in the picture above there. Okay, so the representation of those poles will sort of like be then translated into information that is saved onto that storage media. So every storage media that uses magnetic properties usually have a read and write head, which is responsible for reading information from the disk, as well as transferring, which is writing information to that storage media. So different examples of magnetic storage media, such as internal hard disk drive, external hard disk drives, magnetic tapes. You have zip disks, floppy disks, which obviously are no longer used in today's technology, but very critical back in the day. Okay, we move on to optic storage media. So optic, the word optic is used synonymously with a representation of light. So these are storage media that uses the properties of light to represent data onto a storage media. Okay, so most of these storage medias that use optic sort of like data use what is known as a laser beam. So a laser beam is the one that is responsible for writing to that storage media or reading from that storage media. So as can be seen, most of the disks, compact disks that we have, if you zoom in, they will look like what can be seen up there. Okay, so you have depressions that represent binary data, and the other sort of like non-depressed part of the CD also represent other binary information that is translated by the computer. Okay, so they are called optic because they use laser to read and write data onto a storage media. Okay, we'll move on to the last one, which is solid state. So solid state, as can be seen, in a hard disk drive, which is magnetic, you have a flat surface which is coated with magnetic properties or magnetic coatings, and those have to spin for them to sort of like be read or be written to. But with solid state, the representation of data is usually in form of electronic. So electricity passes through these microchips, and when electricity is sort of like run through, it is either going to be on or off. So it's going to either change a certain part of the chip to be 0, or a certain part of the chip to be 1, to represent the amount or the type of data that is being saved onto that disk. Okay, so they have no moving, solid state disk drives have no moving parts in them. Okay, so these usually very durable, and since they have not so many moving parts, they're very robust as well. They can be used over and over as compared to magnetic and optic. Okay, so what's some of the advantages of using magnetic storage media? So with magnetic storage media, usually the advantages that come with that is like advantages of storage media. They're usually relatively cheap per megabyte as compared to solid state, and they usually have relatively quick read and write speed. That means if you are getting information from them or sending information to them, you're not going to take too much time. Okay. Some of the advantages of optic storage media is that they are relatively cheap to manufacture as compared to these other types of storage media. They are also portable, and they are easily, even though they are relatively large, but they're easy to carry. Okay, some of the disadvantages that come with optic media is that they're easily scratched, since they have no plastic coating to sort of like protect them like the way magnetic media will have, or solid state media will have. So they do not have, they only have a direct surface which is easily prone to scratching. They are also not very user friendly as compared to these other ones, like in terms of copying data. Writing and reading to and from the disks is not as easy as one might think. For instance, we're trying to write say MP4s or MP3s to an optic disk. You need specialized software to do that kind of stuff. Okay, so those are some of the disadvantages that come with. Not to mean that these are the only ones, but yeah. Okay, and with solid state, some of the advantages that are very fast when it comes to reading and writing. Okay, some of the disadvantages that come with that is that they're quite expensive, per megabyte or per gigabyte, as compared to these other type of storage media, affected by such things as exposure to magnetic fields. Like if a magnetic storage device is exposed to a magnetic field, it will lose its memory. But for solid state, since they have no moving parts inside, they do not suffer from such kind of things. With magnetic media, another disadvantage is that once you drop them, they will stop working correctly. But with solid state, they do not have those hiccups that will come up with dropping a magnetic media, so they are more durable. But one of the other disadvantage of a solid state is that it has limited number of times you can write to the storage media. So if it has been programmed to write like 10,000 times, once those 10,000 times are reached, then they will just suddenly stop working. Examples of solid state media: you have flash drives, you have your memory cards, and examples of optic storage media: you have your compact discs, which are the regular CDs, you have your DVDs, your Blu-ray DVDs as well. Those are examples of storage media. Okay, so with optic discs, you have different formats that are there for you to use. So one example of an optic storage media is the CD-R, which is also known as CD recordable. So this type of optic disc allows the user to just write to it once, then it becomes a read-only storage device or read-only memory. So after it, if you buy a blank disk, a common blank disk which is written CD-R, that means there's nothing on that disk at that particular time, but it will allow you to save your songs or videos or whichever that you want to save only once. Thereafter, it will only allow you to read from it, not write anything to it. Okay, so it will become read-only memory after being written to once. You have another one which is also known as CD RW or DVD RW, which is DVD rewritable or CD rewritable. So this type of CDs allow you to write to them multiple times. So you can save a song onto that CD. If you don't like it, after some time you can erase it, save another movie on it, and keep on changing. But the number of times is limited. So you'll be able to write for a particular number of times, and then that CD will eventually turn into a read-only memory. The last part or the last format of CDs or DVDs is what we refer to as DVD-ROM, digital versatile disk read-only memory, or compact disc read-only memory, DVD-ROM or CD-ROM. So this type of storage media allows you, the user, to only read from it, and you cannot write anything to it. So examples of these are common DVDs for video games. If you go into a shop, you buy a video game, a disc that you have to come home and play. That's an example. Another example is that of DVD movies. You go into a shop, you buy a movie that you want to go and put in your DVD to watch with the family. That is an example of a DVD-ROM. Or softwares like Microsoft Office or Windows, those will come on a disk, and that disk is only supposed to be read by the computer, not written to. So those are examples of read-only memory disks. Okay, if there are any questions, feel free to ask as much as you can.